Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pitera channel. I'm Sal.
And I'm Debbie.
And we are here on a beautiful after Thanksgiving night. Feels like we haven't been here in a while, but thanks for welcoming us back into your living room or wherever you happen to be right now. Before we go on, I just want to say thank you to KHM Travel. That is the video we just played. They are a sponsor of our channel. If you love to travel and you think you'd enjoy selling travel to your family and friends, visit KHM Travel's website. They're in the description below, and you can become a travel agent through them, make commissions as your friends and family travel, as well as make a commission on your own travel, which allows your travel to become cheaper. That's KHM, fantastic company, and make sure you tell them that we sent you.
Sounds good.
Cool. So I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I know we did.
We had a very busy Thanksgiving. It was very nice.
It was. Nice. We had 17 people?
Yes, 17.
We had 17 people here at the house, and Debbie does all of the decoration and desserts. And then I cook the actual food for the actual dinner itself. We start at about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning on Thanksgiving Day every year.
Well, you start at 3 o'clock in the morning on Thanksgiving. I start about 2 months before.
I'm talking the day of Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And this year in particular, it was very busy because we had a cruise scheduled to go 2 days later. So we were literally leaving here Thanksgiving night. So we had to have dinner a little bit earlier in the day than we usually do, and then kick everybody out by 3 o'clock p.m. because we had to get on the road to go down to the Carnival Horizon.
Well, and not to add things to it, is at that point, we still hadn't packed yet.
Yes, so that's true.
We were literally scrambling, trying to clean up from Thanksgiving, still trying to pack, get all of our electronics and get out the door. And I think we got maybe 2 hours of sleep, if that.
It was tight. So then we boarded the Carnival Horizon. And first of all, I want to say a very big thank you to the Pascos who brought us on this trip. Janet and Ken, thank you very much. We had an absolute fantastic time spending the week with you. So thanks for inviting us, and let me know when we can do it again, because I know that they're coming on our group cruise.
Yes, they are.
So we'll definitely see them soon. But thank you guys. Made a lasting friendship there, and really, really enjoyed the conversation and the time we spent together. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Right.
So before I begin tonight, you're going to need to know that I'm going to be looking at my computer screen, which is off camera, which is why I keep turning my head this way. We had some software glitches just before the show, and I think I found a bypass around them. Hopefully, knock on wood, that we will be able to do that. So let's see, where are we going first? I don't know. I think this is it. Let's check. All right, that was it. That was our opener. Kind of a lame opener. I made that a couple weeks ago, and I actually kind of hate it. So we won't be using that one. We won't be using that one much more. So let's invite our guests in. Let's start with Deb Wright.
Deb Wright,
a good friend, has been with our channel since the beginning. We actually got to sail with Deb on the Mardi Gras, as well as her mom and the dog. Glenna, where you at, Glenna? I know she's there somewhere.
Glenna.
So Deb is blind, and she has the most adorable seeing eye dog. Her name is Glenna, and she was on the last cruise with us, and we just had an absolutely fantastic time with all of them.
And now everybody will get to meet her.
I don't see her. We're looking for her.
Glenna.
There she is. I'm not getting up.
She's sleeping.
She says, I'm not getting up for this. I don't blame her. So, Deb, tell us.
There she is.
Deb, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, first of all, I'm Canadian. Yay.
Did you say yay or a? I get you guys confused when you do that.
Yay. Why?
Oh, okay. So you said yay, eh?
No, I did not say
that.
And I travel with my guide dog, Glenna, who is a very, very good girl. She's well trained. And my mother, Lois. I love cruising. I like cooking and canning and sewing, doing a lot of different things. And I've been trying to overcome not being able to see. So I takes me longer, but I figured out to do it another way. But I'm about determined I'm going to do it.
I was amazed when we went on the Mardi Gras, and you had told me in advance that you were studying the ship maps.
Yeah.
And that you used some of my virtual tours to like learn your way around the different ships. I was actually surprised how well, and I know you have a guide dog, but I was actually surprised how well you knew your way around the ship, like before you ever boarded it, just from studying the maps.
Yeah, yeah, that's I do that a lot for places that I go to. So because I don't like to appear blind, I like to be
If
more.
you have a seeing eye dog with you, it's going to be hard to
Yeah, but everybody thinks
throw
I'm
people for a loop on that one.
A lot of people will ask me if I'm training her.
I can see that.
No, because I like to stay organized. I have to stay organized, and I like to know what I'm doing. So that would encourage me to study the ship first. Now on the Mardi Gras, I knew where everything was on the Mardi Gras. What I was overwhelmed with was the pure size of it.
It was different.
Yeah,
it
I
really,
agree that
it
it
really
is.
was. And when you know a layout of like the majority of the ships have the same layout, and then you get into one of these ships that
Not Mardi Gras.
all together different, you're kind of going,
Yeah.
oh no, that's not there, that's not there. So
Yeah, I was thrown by Mardi Gras when I first got on board. And for those of you who are new to our channel and don't know, first of all, you should be hitting the subscribe button like right now. But for those of you who are new, I've only ever been on Carnival. Carnival is, we're family there, and that's just where we choose to go. And when I got on board Mardi Gras, I'll be honest with you, I hated it. I thought it was the worst. But I only knew Carnival ships from the old layout, and they're relatively all similar. Where Mardi Gras is a completely different design. It doesn't feel like a Carnival ship when you're on board. But I have to say that by the end of the cruise,
really
I loved
doesn't.
it. Yeah.
It really doesn't feel like a Carnival ship when you first get on board. I mean, eventually you kind of get the feel of it, and then you begin to love it, and that's where you're coming from.
Yeah, I loved it. It's my favorite ship.
But yeah,
I hated it when I first got on.
I didn't look at it that way, but now that you mentioned it, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
it threw me off a little bit when I got on it because we entered on the opposite side of the Grand Central than I had studied. So it's like, okay, I got to get over to the other side so then I can get my bearings.
Yeah, it kind of threw me for a loop because usually when you walk on board a Carnival ship, when you walk on board, you're in the atrium, which is like the hub of the ship. And, guest services is there. And
this is nothing like
yeah,
that.
you walk in at one of the show lounges and nothing is there that you're used to.
Yeah.
So, but it was a great ship. So don't get me wrong. If you didn't catch that part, it's my favorite ship now. So let's invite our second guest. And that would be our friend, Blake. Hey, Blake, how are you today?
Doing all right. How are you guys doing?
Very good. So, Blake, just a little backstory on how we met. I met Blake through the channel. Blake contacted me one day and said, hey, you know what? I love Carnival cruising. And we talked quite a bit, and we became friends. And Blake even sent me, I don't have mine with me. I should have been prepared, and I should have brought it to my office. But you have one you could probably show in a couple seconds. Blake sent me in the mail a 3-ring binder with more information on every single Carnival ship that you could possibly imagine. A lot of stuff. Yeah. I like to think I'm a pretty good connoisseur when it comes to Carnival information. It had information I didn't even know, and I still look at it regularly. He has one showing now.
I believe when we first got the book sent to us, I believe we actually did a video on it and showed everybody what the work that he had done on it.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. But I was telling him that I'm mad at him because I'm now like 4 ships behind. So I'm expecting those sheets to come my way sometime.
They'll be there. They'll be there. Don't worry.
So Blake, tell us a little bit about you that we don't know.
Well, I don't know if you can see my name on there, but I do run an Instagram page, a little blog, CCL blog.
No, it was little when I met you. It's not little anymore.
I guess that's true. It's got about almost 60,000 followers. I just kind of share my passion for Carnival cruising on there. I'm 20, so I'm still kind of young, getting into the game. I have my 7th cruise here in about a week, and it's been about 2 years, so I'm dying to get on board.
I know during COVID, we were talking before we came on air, and we were talking about how many cancellations. I think you have more cancellations during COVID than any of my other customers.
It's ridiculous.
Every time one canceled, Blake was saying, "Okay, let's do next month. Okay, let's do next month. Or that would cancel. Let's do next month."
I remember
It was like
that.
one rolling after another.
Yep.
So, Blake, you go to school, right?
Yep, I'm at school right now.
What school do you go to?
Right now I'm at Boise State, but I'm probably transferring to Kelly School of Business in Indianapolis, kind of where family is, to be closer to home and
Very cool. And you were telling me that you're interested in actually becoming a cruise travel agent, concierge person to help other people enjoy your passion as well.
Yeah, something along those lines. Just something that deals with cruising that'll not only allow me to help other people with that same passion, but allow me to, be able to be on board as part of kind of my job description. It sounds really appealing to me.
Well, when you're ready, like I said, you come see us and we'll find a way to get you in there. It would be absolutely a pleasure working with you. You've been nothing but great since the day I've met you. And I'm so, I don't want to sound condescending when I say this, but I'm so proud that you started out, with me being friends, and you've grown your Instagram page to the phenomenal success that it's been. So congratulations, brother. You're doing really
Appreciate
really
it, man. Thanks.
And let's bring in our last guest, who is right here, and it's the one and only Mr. John Johnson from the Traveling Johnson.
Hi.
Move your camera a little bit down, John. I can't see if you're behind your banner. There you go. Now
let me show off this shirt. There we go.
So you all know John, especially if you book cruises with us. John is one of our concierge agents. A lot of times when I'm not available, John will get the call and help you.
There we go.
Oh, John's got one too. Did that come from Blake? Did Blake send you that?
Nope, I made it myself.
Oh, Blake, you got some.
And when I told you about it, you said you must have a lot of time on your hands.
I did,
Yeah.
yes.
So John, tell us something about you that we don't know.
That I'm a musician as well. I drive Uber and I have a full-time job. And you guys already know I'm a concierge for a Pitera company. Yeah.
And John is a great musician. It's primarily country, right, John?
All country, yes.
All country. And we actually post a lot of his videos on our Facebook page. And I'm going to talk to John about actually putting some of his videos from your live, actually putting it out on our channel as well.
Okay.
So that's something we're going to talk about in a little later date. So this is the cruise. It's our weekly travel show. There are some weeks we take off, especially when we're traveling, like the last couple of weeks and over Thanksgiving. But primarily, it's going to be a weekly travel show. This is our third edition of it. And the format is really simple. We're going to discuss 3 separate topics here on the show, as well as show you a couple of videos along the way. And hopefully you stay with us and enjoy. Please, if you're new to our channel, or if you're not new and just aren't subscribed, click the subscribe button, click the little bell notification. That way YouTube will let you know every time we upload a brand new video. Also, send me a text with the word cruise in it to 305-574-9213. It is a completely free service, and we'll let you know every time we go live or put up a video, as well as the latest cruise information as it comes out in the news. So send me that text. Just text the word cruise to 305-574-9213. It's a totally free service, and you can opt out at any time. And now we're not going to go over the mail today, so I think that's it for that. So let's talk about our first topic. Actually, you know what? Our first topic is going to be a video. So this is actually a video we put out on the channel earlier today. If you've already seen it, it runs for about 9 minutes. So you can take a break, go to the bathroom, grab a drink. If you haven't seen it, this is the interview with the captain of the Carnival Horizon, the ship we just got off. Yes, it is the same ship that is now canceling some sailings and rerouting people to other ships due to propulsion issues and being dry docked back in Europe. We do talk about that in the video, as well as the captain's growing up experience, how he became a captain, and all the good stuff. This is part 1 of that video. Part 2 of that video will most likely be tomorrow evening. So enjoy this video. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Sal Pitera channel. And I have a really big treat for you today. We are with Captain. What did I do? I messed up. Hold on. I stopped the video. We got to do it again. I told you I had some software glitches, so let's try this again. Priesty of the Carnival Horizon, and we're going to come back and have a discussion, talk about his life here on board when we come back right after this. Hey guys, welcome back. And before we begin, as always, please make sure you click that subscribe button, click the little bell notification. That way you're notified every we put up one of these great videos like today on board the Carnival Horizon. And again, we are with one of the best captains in the fleet, Captain Claudio Capristi. Did I say that correctly?
Capristi, yes.
Excuse me, of the Carnival Horizon. Now, we've been on board for about 4 days now and are having the time of our life. And it all starts with this gentleman right here who's in charge of this beautiful vessel.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your introductions.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for taking the time. I know you're extremely busy on board, doing the day-to-day life of the ship, just for taking that time out of your schedule and meeting with us to do this great interview.
Well, as you see, today, unfortunately, we have this change of itinerary, and but we are safe and sound. We are moving towards Miami, and we are on a nice day, on a nice track. So I can get few moments to stay with you and spend time and have a chat.
And what the captain is talking about is during our voyage we had a small propulsion issue, so we're on our way back to Miami. Are we planning on still getting to Miami on time?
We're going to be exactly on time in Miami as per schedule, so everybody can relax and enjoy the activities on board. We have a lot to offer, so we are here to provide you the necessary tool to build up good memories for the time to come.
Absolutely, and I think everybody's having a fantastic time on board.
This is what seems like. Everybody is happy, everybody is enjoying, so we are not fulfilling whatever we promised to do.
So let's talk about you. You're obviously Italian. I think most of the officers I know that are captains on board Carnival are from Italy.
Yes, the majority of the captains on the Carnival ships are Italian or Croatian. Been at sea for the last 42 years. And do you mind if I...
No, please.
Thank you. I've been at sea for the last 42 years. Been a captain for 24 now. And I love this job, obviously, otherwise I would not be here. And it's taken me away from home, but on the other side of the coin, they give me the leisure to meet people like yourself, learn languages, see places, and enjoying my life in the best way possible, because I'm here outside on a beautiful vessel in the middle of the ocean, and it's what was my vocation.
Sure. Do you have a family back home?
Yes, I have a family. I have two beautiful daughters. One is 30, the other one is 10. So it's a big gap in between, but it's a life.
Do they come on board and spend time with you on board?
Yes, they do. They do often. Not now with the restrictions that we have due to the pandemic, but other than that, yes, they are with me. They spending time. And
we were talking just before you arrived, because most of the captains we know on board Carnival are from Italy, but some of the other lines aren't, like Captain Kate, who has a very successful video log. Why is it that Carnival chooses Italian captains?
Well, I think that is lots to do with the beginning of this company. The beginning of this company, the owners at the time decide to employ Italian captain, and from there it's becoming a tradition. Now, all throughout the years, with the opening of the global employment way, also Carnival did open up, so this is why we have the Croatian, we have officers from Poland, France, Germany, all over the place. And we are trying to become more international while we moving on. Now, to be a captain, you need quite a vast experience, because people are priceless, ships are the cost that they are, and the responsibility is great. It's very big, so you need years of experience, and now to fulfill our ranks, the people need to grow up in the ranks underneath. So eventually, in the next few years, you're going to see less Italian captain and more of a cosmopolitan.
Is that a good thing?
Yeah, of course. The variety is always a good thing. If we can have lots of ideas, we can start into thinking outside the box, be out of the tradition, and make more profitable. The person that you mentioned, Captain Kate, great person. She have this good, excellent PR personality. So This is what we need. We need people that are more open.
Does
to
it make
new
the
world.
communication barrier with you and your staff a little harder with people speaking different languages?
Well, I think that the only thing that is going to make it harder is the way you are. And my English, sometimes I sound like Dracula, with the voice.
My family's from
Other than
England, so I'm
that,
used to it.
no, you know what I mean. Maybe it's the accent that it can be a little bit mischieving, but other than that, no. If you are a person that can stay with other person, you don't have any difficulty. You find a way to get your point across, to really do what you need to do.
Where in Italy are you from?
I'm from a place near Florence in Tuscany, the beautiful Tuscany, and the name of the town is Viareggio, which is just about 30 minutes from Florence, on a coastline, on the seashore of the coast.
So growing up, you were obviously near
Growing
the
up,
sea.
I was at sea. My family never been at sea, funny enough. My father was a shipbuilder, and but I had this feeling that my life was, since when I was a kid, was to go in abroad and to see the world. And partially that happened because when I was little, I read this book from Emilio Salgari. I don't know if you remember, and the name is 20,000 Leagues
Sure.
Under the Water, right? So they was talking about pirates, submarine, and so on. So I got infatuated with this kind of life, if you will, on the book, and I wanted to see the world and visiting the place that was described on the book.
I don't think I've ever read the book, but I'm pretty sure Jacques Cousteau did a movie on it that I watched when I was much younger.
There is few movies, yes. So it was the adventure to be out at sea. And then I fall in love. I fall in love for the reasons that I said to you, that you are on a vessel, you meeting people, you have the possibility to grow up intellectually, because you learn in languages, you meet somebody else, you interact, you know new words. So everything is positive.
Is the adventure what you thought it was going to be?
Sometimes yes, sometimes it's lots of routine.
I bet. I think that's gotta be the hardest part of the job, no?
Yes, the routine is the hardest part of the job.
I was telling my beautiful wife last night, while I was sitting in bed last night in our room, and for those of you who haven't been on a cruise before, what I'm about to say is not typical of how you feel on a cruise ship. I want to put that right up front. But I was watching a video of a YouTube friend of mine who they buried alive in a coffin for 50 hours.
Wow.
And by the time I got to the end, it was about a 30-minute video. I'm sitting in my cabin and I'm thinking, okay, and now I'm getting claustrophobic here. And I can't imagine, I've always wanted to live on board. Being a cruise director was one of my dreams growing up, and I never pursued it. But I can imagine being on the bridge every day in the same routine when things are going normally. As normal is probably the best thing for you.
Yes.
It probably gets monotonous sometimes as well.
Yeah, sometimes it does. But then on the other side, when you're looking outside and you see the beautiful scenery, even if it's the same way every day, it's different. Because it's not like in an office that the wall is always the wall. It's always changing all the time. So you can see islands, natures, panorama of any kinds.
Have you been a captain of smaller vessels? I mean, this place is huge. Have you been on smaller vessels as well?
I start with the Mardi Gras, the original Mardi Gras, and I moved to this vessel. So I was on a different class.
So you were on the original Mardi Gras?
I was on the original Mardi Gras as an officer. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, I was on the original Mardi Gras,
yes.
And it was a long time ago. And I started as an officer, second officer. And then I moved my career. I went from there to the Tropical, which was the next, bigger ship at the time. And all the different class, Celebration, Jubilee, Conquest class, and then eventually I end up here.
Which do you prefer, big or little?
Well, honestly, this one is beautiful. Me personally, I love the Spirit class, which is the Pride, the Legend, and Miracle, which is a little bit smaller than this one. But I guess I like them better because I participate to the constructions, to the building of the ship in Finland, in the shipyard.
So I think the first topic now is talking about Vivian's book, and I forget what the first topic was. Oh, I know what it was. So guys, let's talk about something. So this has been an issue for the last several years. I want to say that I've really noticed it when the new president of Carnival took over, that unlike her predecessor, Bob Dickinson, who, in my opinion, had the thought of let's give more to the customer and then customers will come. It seems like our current CEO of the company, or president of the company rather, has the opposite philosophy. And it just seems like the philosophy now is let's keep taking things away and taking things away to save some money. That way, if people don't come, we'll still make more money, which I got to be honest, I disagree with that philosophy in business. But we've noticed a lot of things have gone away since COVID, which I think that Carnival will probably use as an excuse to get rid of some things and never bring them back. But it's little things that I can't even see that's costing a lot of money. Like I did see, and I talked to our cabin steward and found out that they are now responsible for more cabins. I get that, less employees, less money. But it was little things like when you get on board, and some of this stuff, guys, may be specific to us because Carnival does treat us very well. But like normally when we get on board, there's a welcome letter welcoming us on board in our cabin, and on this last cruise, we didn't have any of that. There was nothing in our cabin when we got there. It just felt like we were going to a hotel room.
Well, yes, but we did receive one letter that went to our cabin by mistake.
Yes.
That we did have.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. So the letter we got by mistake, and this is kind of way off topic, guys, but I should probably bring it up.
Yeah.
Is that while Carnival is saying there's no exceptions to the COVID injection policy shot, I can tell you there were some unvaccinated people on our cruise ship because we got their letter by accident in our cabin telling them that, welcoming them on board, but also letting them know that they were not allowed to leave the cruise ship in any port unless they were on a bubble tour. And a bubble tour means you're only with other unvaccinated people. You're away from everybody else. You can't leave that tour even for a second to go shopping.
And they were sold out almost immediately.
Yeah, no, it was completely sold out.
They had like nothing available.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there was a young lady who and her husband, there were a couple cabins down, had the most adorable little daughter, and they didn't realize the bubble tour thing, and they literally had to stay on board the entire trip. So anyway, that's a little off subject, but it just seemed like a lot of little things have changed, the cutbacks. Like for instance, the Carnival pin you get when you're platinum or diamond. They no longer say the ship on them. They no longer say whether you're platinum or diamond. It's just one generic pin, and they don't even bring it to your cabin. Yep. You have to go up to the photo studio and actually ask for that pin in order to get it.
Yes.
Yep.
So as well as your gift now.
Yeah, it always seems to be. It always seems to be no matter what
ship.
Which is always
the
same
tag. Thing now. It doesn't change.
So let's start with Mr. Johnson. What have you noticed on cutbacks, and what's your feeling about them?
Well, I've only been on two, but from what I'm hearing is I didn't know how cruising was before 6 years ago, so I'm not accustomed to getting things, and I only have a red card now, but my wife, she's used to getting those things. She's noticed the cutbacks as well, like with the pin, like what you were saying, and little things that, people that have been loyal to Carnival are used to and are not getting anymore, and that maybe some people feel that they're using COVID as an excuse to not do that anymore. So, that's what we've noticed. Christina makes it aware to me every chance she gets, like when we're on the ship and everything, saying, they used to do this, but then now they don't do that anymore. And midnight buffets and stuff like that.
I think it's situations like yours is what Carnival depends on, because you don't know the difference. And there's always going to be new cruisers who don't know the difference. Why do we have something on the screen?
I'm
trying to weed through these.
Block people.
Everyone's on spam patrol tonight.
Yeah, Debbie's on the spam patrol. That's why she's looking down.
It's really bad.
It's people that are new to cruising, and there's always going to be new people to cruising who won't know that these are actually cutbacks. And my question is always, are they going to get off the ship thinking there was a value to their money? Because even though they're not accustomed to these things all being cut back, when we started cruising, we were wowed by what we got for our money, and I don't see that wow factor anymore. I mean, it's still a great vacation. Don't get me wrong; I would be doing this if it wasn't.
New cruisers are being wowed now, though, because they don't know any better, like you said. So the new cruisers are getting on, and it's like, oh, look at this, look at this. but they don't have any idea. Like you know how it used to be.
Well, it seems like the personal level between people isn't there anymore. You know, it's like before they would greet us by name, you know, they would have personal letters in your cabins for anything and everything.
Yeah, it's like, and you guys, not to put our personal level, but like in this last cruise, we got a bottle of champagne, I think it was, sent from the captain. But we had to go ask who it was from because there wasn't even a letter with the thing. Usually there's a letter saying, you know, Mr. Pitera, thank you here. Or excuse me, it wasn't captain, it was the chief person.
Yes, right.
But we literally had no idea who it was from. So, Blake, what do you think? Let's get you to chime in. One of you guys has your speaker up way too loud.
Yeah.
That's better. Blake,
so my first cruise, I believe it was in 2011. It was on Splendor out of Long Beach, and one of my favorite things that I remember from that cruise, not only was the midnight buffets, but also just those little chocolates that they used to leave on your bed after dinner. I can't remember exactly when they got rid of that, but that was I thought that was just such a nice little touch.
Of course, it's a whole room
steward and us, and I think and the personal connection that we made kind of with our steward at that time was amazing. Like we took pictures. He greeted us by name, and it's been a little bit different since then. But that was probably my biggest. Oh, why'd they get rid of that?
I was talking to our room steward, and she had 34 cabins for 2 people. When I started cruising, it was 3 people for 8 cabins. That's why you no longer get morning and night service anymore because they're just way too busy. So another little cutback. How about you, Deb? What do you think?
One thing that I really missed was the fun times.
Me too.
I did get them because I had requested the large print. They gave them to me for 3 days. They delivered them, and then the rest of the cruise, I don't know what happened to them. And but it's really nice when you have those. You can pre-plan your day. Now, as far as what Debbie said with the greeting, I didn't find that because everybody recognized the dog.
That's true. Everybody knows who's around within a day.
So,
Glenna.
and because of the lapse in time and the new ship, I wasn't sure if some of the things were cutbacks or that Mardi Gras was doing them different.
No, they're cutbacks.
Yeah, so it was kind of hard to tell at that point.
Yeah.
But
I just think that they're you know, and I hope to God I'm wrong because right now a lot of this is getting blamed on COVID and not having the full staff on board. But I have found that when Carnival makes a decision to do something, they typically blame it on something else, kind of like the grape butter debate.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of happens. They either try to tell you that there's a reason for it, or they try to explain why it's actually better for you that they've cut something back.
the other thing was the buffet. We went down to the buffet the one day, and it was like, well, I don't want to go back there because I remember the buffets being something really
elaborate.
Yeah, and enticing and that sort of stuff. And what they had displayed, it really wasn't. It looked dried, and it wasn't the caliber that I was used to getting from Carnival. Now, it could have been somewhat because of where they have the buffets. They didn't have the great big extensive long lines and
Right.
of it. If they had 2 stations and.
Well, I used to find on the buffets, and I'm glad Carnival's not doing this anymore. And I don't think it was just Carnival. I think it was all the cruise lines. But I always felt that before COVID, it seemed like they were trying to cut their food costs by making their food different than what you're used to. Like, for instance, I like Eggs Benedict in the morning. So Eggs Benedict has a piece of Canadian bacon. I don't know if you made it personally up in Canada for them, Deb. But it had a piece of Canadian bacon, and it has a poached egg and hollandaise sauce on top of it. But instead of using the Canadian bacon, they would use salmon.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, who does that? And then you would notice that it wasn't touched. So I'm thinking maybe they do this intentionally because they'll sell less food this way and I'm having a better food cost. But I've noticed on my last 2 cruises it hasn't been. It's been Canadian bacon again.
I got it on the Mardi Gras and I got ham. It wasn't bacon, it was ham.
Yes, you're right.
I thought he was having a fit.
I don't know. It's kind of like when you go to France, they're just fries and not French fries. We call our ham Canadian bacon here because it's like a screwed up piece of bacon, and you guys, never mind.
Well, then I should pack some Canadian bacon and bring it down to you so you know what.
Yeah, no. For some reason, I don't know why, but when it comes to breakfast meat, when we have a thin slice cut of ham, they call it Canadian bacon here. I don't know why.
I don't know why either.
You're correct. It is ham. So.
Okay, so that goes to prove that Canadian bacon is different than what you're calling it.
Yes, it certainly is. And Kathy Engstrom says, we've had the Eggs Benedict both ways. Which way did you like better, Kathy? Because I got to be honest with you, I wasn't even about to try the salmon version of it, to be honest with you. So before we go on our next segment, I do want to say that, yeah, for the last 5 minutes, we've been talking about things that Carnival has done away with. However, I love cruising. And I tell everybody, even my worst day on board is better than my best day here at home. So even without the little things that we know Carnival used to do, it's still a great vacation. I mean, anytime I'm on board, it doesn't make a difference. I know people that get off the cruise ship.
Well, we ran into some on this last one.
Yeah, I know people that get off the ship and they'll say, man, I didn't like that food. I can't believe they would serve that to us. And they're sitting at McDonald's while they say it. So it's still a great vacation.
Well, they say that the celebration, the 50-year celebration, is going to be a throwback.
Correct.
I hope that we're not setting our expectations too high.
Yeah, me too. They haven't said what the throwbacks are going to be yet. We have another spam.
Good point. I just blocked them.
I got this one. Block user.
I got this one.
It's a nonstop tonight. Crazy.
I know, right? At least we're not getting any deliveries. All right, we'll just leave it at that. All right, so we're going to go on to our next video, and then we're going to talk about it right afterwards. So I got to figure out how to do this the right way this time. And here we go. Hey guys, welcome back to the South Pitera channel. And today we're going to talk about a very controversial issue in the cruise industry, and that is automatic gratuities, and should you have to pay them? We're going to be back to talk about that right after this. Hey guys, welcome back, and thanks for staying through the intro. Please, as always, make sure you hit that subscribe button, click the little bell notification, that way YouTube will let you know when we upload new videos. It's free for you to do, and it sure means the world to us. Now today, we're going to talk about something that's controversial in the cruise line industry, and that is tipping. And the reason it's controversial is some people don't believe they should have to tip, even though the cruise line tells you in advance of buying your cruise that it is customary in the cruise line industry. Now, really, I only see this being controversial in the cruise line industry. For instance, when you're at home and you go out to eat, you do know it's customary to tip your server, and I don't think most people have a problem with that, so they leave a 15 to 20% gratuity when they go out to eat and don't even question it. So why is it a big controversial issue in the cruise line industry? Here's the thing. The average person doesn't run a cruise line. So it's up to the cruise line to tell us what is and what is not customary on board. And tipping is one of those things where the cruise line tells us that it is customary at just about every step of the way to tip those people who are working really hard to make your cruise experience the best that it can be. So who are we to tell the cruise line that it's not customary and to argue whether or not we should leave tips? So let's talk about Carnival's tipping policy, since I'm most knowledgeable on Carnivals, even though most cruise lines are about the same. So Carnival tells you prior to getting on board the ship that you're automatically going to pay an 18% gratuities on things like the drinks you get at the bar, the chef's table, any specialty dining events. An 18% gratuity is automatically going to be added to your bill. And that goes specifically to the people who served you at those events. So when you're at a bar and you charge the 18% per drink, that is going to the bartender that helped you or the bar staff. When you're at a specialty dining restaurant, that 18% is going towards the waiters and waitresses that helped you in that specialty dining restaurant. And I don't think most people have a problem with that. So here's where on that portion becomes controversial, is when you sign for your drink, that 18% is automatically added to your
to your check, and there's a line underneath for an additional gratuity. And a lot of people think, hey, why should I give an additional gratuity? And I'm there with you on this one. I tell all of my guests that when you're considering giving that extra gratuity at the bar, consider the fact that you've already given 18%. Now, for me and my wife, we consider the 18% enough, and generally we don't add an extra tip at the bar unless on a lot of cruises we make friends with a bartender that gets to know us, gets to know our likes and our dislikes, or somebody that's bartended on a previous cruise. And we generally give an extra tip to that bartender for being personable enough to know our preferences. So that's that area. But here's where the big controversy comes. Automatically, usually on the second to last day of your sailing, the cruise line is going to add a tip to your sail and sign bill. It's an automatic gratuity. On Carnival, it's $13.99 per person in your cabin over 2 years old per day of the cruise. And if you're in a suite, it goes to $15.99 per day because there are extra people that work on the suite. And those tips go to people like your cabin stewards, your wait staff in your main dining room, people behind the scenes who you're not going to interact with on a daily basis to give them a tip. So since you know in advance that it's customary to do that prior to boarding the ship, why is it a big deal? You would be surprised how many people line up at guest services after that tip hits their bill to remove that gratuity. And they always use the same lines such as, oh, I prefer to tip cash. And while there are some people that do tip cash, I'm here to tell you that my friends on board tell me that probably about 80% of the people who use that excuse never tip a single penny on board. So for those of you who don't tip, I'm curious, please leave me in the comment section down below. Why don't you tip? You knew that was the price when you came on board. Carnival doesn't hide that in their website, that it's customary to do that. So I'm curious as to why you feel that when you get on board, you should not tip. I really just don't understand it. So let me know down in the comments down below. This is kind of a pet peeve of mine because I know how hard the people on board work for those tip money. And I really don't understand why people find this to be such a hard decision to make. So again, I like to think of this as a discussion. I gave you my...
Okay, so I totally and completely played the wrong video on that one, but that's okay. We'll make this our next topic. I told you the software problems tonight, so but yes, I absolutely played the wrong video. So let's go over tipping since we played that video. John, do you agree with what the video says or no?
Absolutely, because the level of service that you get on these ships, granted, it's automatic at 18%. That's fine and dandy, but the level of service that you're getting, well, particularly on the cruise that me and Christina were on with the Mardi Gras back in September, you can't beat. I just don't see anywhere else where you can beat that level of personable service on a ship. Down to the room stewards, the waiters and waitresses at the bar, and the dining room. And there's no question, we do prepaid tips on every one of our cruises, and we always will. And if it's exceptional service, we'll throw a little more towards it, like with the room steward, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson. Every time we were in and out the door, do you need anything? And she even got us the very last Mardi Gras book that she had. So yeah, we left her definitely that envelope that they leave in your room sometimes, and we definitely slip some money in there as well. And also, if you really like your room steward enough, they do a good enough job, they'll remind you on the ship that when you get off, you'll be receiving an email from Carnival about a survey of the quality of service. Make sure you fill that out and send it in, because that goes straight to Carnival, and they get the feedback from that.
Yeah, and put the person's name on it. If you have somebody treat you exceptional, put your name on that survey, because they do get a lot of credit for that when they receive the survey.
Yeah, they'll give you the card with their name on it. Save that card, and if you really like their service, then make sure you send that survey in.
What do you think, Deb? How about the automatic or tipping? Fair, unfair?
We do our prepaid tipping, plus, for example, on this last cruise that we went, I got little gift bags, and I got chocolate and candies that you can only get in Canada. So that went for a gift in one day. And then another day, there was personal things and souvenirs and that kind of stuff. So each day our cabin steward got a gift bag with cash in the bag also. I know the one day he had fun because he made, I think it was a bat or something up on the ceiling, and we filled it with $1 bills. So all over it. I have two daughters that work the cruise lines, so I kind of understand it more than most people do at how those tips work and how hard these people work for their money, what they're paid as a wage for their contract. And I would say probably 75 to 90% of that money that they're making and get paid, they send it home to support families. So when they get the gratuities from us, the extra cash that we leave them, that's their spending money while they're on that ship, and they can participate because they don't. Yes, they have a crew bar, but they have to pay for their drinks.
Absolutely.
Not what we do, but they have to pay for their drinks. When they go to the stores to get stuff, they have to pay. They get a reduced rate, but they still have to pay for all this stuff. None of that stuff is free. So, and I appreciate being treated the way I have been by the staff, by the crew, and I always show my appreciation by tipping. Sometimes it's excess, but that's my choice.
Cool. How about you, Blake?
So this one hits a little bit closer to me because for my day job, I'm a server at a steakhouse. And let me just tell you, not getting tipped after what you thought was you did a good job, it sucks. Like, it's not fun. And that goes for anyone in the service industry. My family always leaves the prepaid gratuity on there, as well as we also, if we feel we've been treated, extra well, we will always leave, a little bit of an extra cash tip for either our servers or our room stewards. So yeah, and I don't really understand the mindset of not tipping because they're not getting paid extreme amount of money without those tips. They do rely on those tips a lot more than people may think. So I think that not tipping, not really a good move, unless you feel something that you were not treated fairly whatsoever, and there's a reason not to tip. You should always at least tip that 18%.
I agree totally. And for my friends in Australia that might be watching this video, I understand you guys are probably looking at the screen right now and saying, why? Because traditionally in Australia, it's not customary to leave tips, even when you go out to a restaurant. But consider leaving that gratuity anyways, my friends in Australia, because I'm telling you, the people on board definitely depend on these gratuities. And I kind of look at it like this, and I think I touched on this in the video, but if you were just going out for the day at home and you were to visit 3 restaurants, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and on board you're probably going to eat 5 or 6 times. Mm-hmm. But let's just say you just go to breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You're going to leave more in tips from your servers at home for those 3 meals than what you're going to be paying on board for your gratuities. And let alone the gratuities on board, they don't go just to your server. They go from everybody from your server to the person who makes your bed in the morning. So definitely leave the tip. Your people will really appreciate it. And the more we get people that leave the tips, really is the reason why we get the great service that we have on board, because they are appreciative of us as their customers.
I also have worked in the service field, so I know what it's like to get the tips and not get the tips. The only difference, people have to remember, the only difference between those people working on the ship, besides cultural, and them, is that we're on vacation. They're having to work. You might go to their country or their home place and visit there, and I treat people the way I want to be treated, and too many people forget that. So tipping is one of the venues that you say job well done, and you encourage that person to even get better, to get larger tips.
Well, I think you just hit it right on the head. So let's take that and reverse it. Let's say that person who works on the ship gets a week off and decides he's going to come to your hometown for vacation. and you're a server. You certainly wouldn't like it if that guy didn't tip you because he's on vacation. Why should he have to?
Yes, that's so true.
We're going to play a really quick video. I'm just going to keep everybody on the screen for this. And I want to say congratulations to a cruise line because it's now been 1 year since they started sailing post-COVID. So that was just a quick video, and congratulations to Royal Caribbean. I believe they were the first cruise line to actually bring back cruising overseas, and it's been a whole year. Who'd have ever thought that, that cruising would go out for 16 months, and absolutely crazy. Okay, so the next topic, I don't know how well you guys have been following, but I'm going to go over it. And I'm going to start by saying that I am a journalist, not only for the cruise industry. I actually used to own a newspaper. And we sold that to a bigger news company, but I've been a journalist for a very long time. And not only do I report on stories, but I also do commentary on them as well. And commentary is going to be my opinion on those stories. So we put a story up a couple of days ago about what happened to us on board the Carnival Horizon. And I did get some feedback online. Most people agreed with what I was saying, but I got a few people who said that I shouldn't be throwing my comments in there, even though I do say that this is my personal opinion at the end of the video. And as well as a couple of comments that I'm going to address at the end of tonight's episode. So be here and make sure you stay for the ending. I think you'll find it interesting. So we left for the Carnival Horizon the day after, we left Thanksgiving. We boarded 2 days later. And when we left Miami, the first thing that happened was we sailed for about 2 hours, and we were informed that a passenger had gotten sick on board and they were going to have to return a good portion of the way to Miami so the Coast Guard could come out and extract that person from the ship. So we sailed backwards a little bit. We dropped that person off, who is fine, by the way. The person did have a heart attack on board, but we are told that he went back to a hospital in Miami and did make a full recovery, thank goodness.
Good.
So we turned around and we started going to our first port of call of Aruba. We were supposed to be there at 8 a.m., I believe. It was either 8 or 9. And the captain came on and said, because of our having to turn back in that couple of hours, that we were going to be a little late for our port. I believe we got in at 11:30 a.m. And of course, that started everybody all off right away saying, I can't believe we're going to miss an hour and a half of our port. And I know everybody I talked to explained to them that certainly if this was you that got sick, you'd be awfully glad that they turned around and saved your life.
Plus, didn't they extend our time there for a little bit?
They did. They let us stay a little later as well. But I did notice there were people on board that were actually upset that we were going into port a little late. So we finally are about to get off in Aruba, and that's when we get a letter under our cabin door, as well as the captain makes an announcement that our ship is having propulsion issues and that we will now be skipping 2 of our 4 ports. We went to Bonaire the next day, and then we had 2 ports cancel that were supposed to be in the Dominican Republic, and we were going to skip those ports so that we could start sailing back to Miami. Our cruise was not going to be cut short, but we weren't going to be making those stops. We were going to get in the same time. We would just have 2 extra days at sea. And oh my goodness, what an uproar. You would have thought that the captain told everybody to have to get in lifeboats and paddle back home themselves. A segment of the ship just decided that this was completely unacceptable. The cruise line did offer us all a $100 onboard credit that we could use for those extra 2 days at sea. They offered us 25% off of our next cruise, off of the base cruise fare. And of course, you're automatically returned your port charges and taxes. And this just created an uproar with a certain percentage of the ship. The next thing we know, there is a petition going around that this small group had put out these petitions, and in my opinion, were browbeating people into signing them, demanding that Carnival compensate them additionally for having to miss these crew ports, because in their mind, their vacation was cut short.
And then it slowly turned from a small group to a much larger group.
Yes, because that initial group was literally all over the ship. Instead of joining a vacation, that's all they were doing was recruiting people to join their cause.
Rather than enjoying the rest of their trip.
Right. So that became a thing. The cruise line was well aware of it. But then something interesting happened. On Facebook, we found out that there is now going to be a sit-in protest on the last day of the cruise, where the group that had these signatures were now inviting, let me put them on the screen again.
I'm trying to block them.
Where they had invited all passengers to meet in the atrium lodge and interrupt whatever's going on there by performing a sit-in for this protest. And I informed people online how bad of an idea this was. With my experience with Carnival, you're not going to get what you want by disrupting cruise operations. It's also a felony. I mean, if the cruise line really wanted to pursue it, it could be mutiny, in which case it's a felony when you get home to the United States. So, and the other thing was that, you know, none of us have our eyes closed to the protests that have happened here in America over the last 2 years, and we were afraid that it might turn violent. And that wasn't just my opinion. I can tell you that the ship's opinion was that they need the hope that it wasn't going to turn violent as well.
We had several people ask, not only in the Facebook group, but in person, where was this going to be? Because they wanted to try to avoid it at all costs.
Right.
So it was, I mean, it was a lot more to it behind the scenes that people were afraid of it.
Yeah. Which in effect takes away from their cruise.
It does.
So the day of the protest, the evening of the protest, it was at 5 p.m. in the atrium. The crowd did arrive. I can tell you ship security was everywhere, including we're told that if you haven't cruised before, the atrium generally has your main show lounge just feet away from the atrium, and we're told that there were a lot of crew waiting in there just in case things did go haywire. They could come out and try to disperse people and get things back under control. For those of you who insinuate that I'm saying that the crew was going to beat people like you've made in the comments, I've never said that. But certainly when you have a group of people that are trying to disrupt things, we'll just put it that way, certainly need to make sure security's on standby in case things do go the wrong way. It only takes one person to make things go haywire. And I can tell you in that crowd, there were certain people, even just the things they said to me, that I felt were really close to boarding that line, to getting people angry instead of just a protest. Now, it did turn out to be peaceful. There were no real incidents that I'm aware of. The leader of this protest did stand up on the second floor where the violinist is and decided that she was going to address the crowd, even though the ship had asked her not to do that. And I do have that video of her addressing the crowd. I just want to play that real quick.
My name is Misha. I started the petition because I don't feel that we've been fairly compensated for the cruises that were canceled. I am speaking on behalf of over 800 people that have signed the petition. I won't take up a whole bunch of time. This is a peaceful sit-in, not to cause a riot, as rumors have been spread, just to demonstrate to Carnival main office that we are all frustrated, we are angry, we have been spinning around in the circles at guest services, nobody wants to talk to us, except for the fact that I was pulled aside since I started the petition. Anyways, that's another story. I just want to read to you what is in their contract that they...
That was not me screaming loud about that.
Yes, boss.
In part 8B of their contract, it does say that they have the right to cancel for any reason. There's a number of reasons that they say. I'm not going to read it all, but then it does say, except as provided in clause 8C with respect to mechanical failures. And we're having a mechanical failure, which they already knew about. They can deny it as much as they want to, but there's so much evidence that they already knew about it. And then it refers you to 8C and 8C, and I am going to read that part. It
All right. So that happened. So let's start with you guys, and I'm going to give you my opinion in a little more detail than what I did on the actual video that we uploaded. So let's start with Mr. John Johnson. What do you think about the entire situation? Anything you'd like to comment on?
I think it's utterly ridiculous. I want to ask Blake though. Did you get all your money back and a future cruise credit or a free cruise credit? Because I don't think you did, and you were on the next two sailings.
I was on the very next sailing, and
yeah. I've been helping him with that, by the way. So
Blake, you should have gotten all your money back plus a free cruise, right?
Right. Like you mentioned, I think before at the end of that video, the part you didn't show was that what she failed to do was read the paragraph underneath of what she was reading.
Correct.
Saying because technically the cruise itself was not canceled. Ports were canceled. You were in the middle of an ocean. You spent 8 days on that ship. Therefore, your cruise is not canceled. So what Carnival gave, or the incentive that Carnival gave to their passengers, they technically didn't have to do that either, really, if you think about it. So she's definitely on blast now, I guess, with Carnival because her face is right out there. So, and I think this was the very first protest ever on a cruise ship.
That's what we are of this magnitude, anyway. I'm sure people are upset, but of this official organized protest. So, Blake, let's talk about your situation since John brought it up.
Yeah.
So you were on the next sailing, which was completely canceled.
Yeah.
And for that, you got a full refund. Obviously, they're not providing you with a cruise. And as a good faith gesture, Carnival is giving you a free cruise on top of that. Correct?
No. So actually, what they ended up doing, they didn't cancel our cruise. Instead, they're bringing in Carnival Sunshine, I believe.
Okay, so you were on the first one. You moved to the next one. Okay, I thought you were on the next one that actually canceled.
No.
Okay. So let's go over that real quick. So what Carnival did is now the ship has to go to Europe to go to dry dock. And Carnival canceled the initial 2 sailings after the cruise. And then for the next month and a half, anybody who's on that vessel is now being moved to a different cruise ship with the same itinerary.
Yep.
So the young lady who did this protest, she got a few things wrong. The first thing is it's been customary when Carnival cancels a cruise, especially as last minute, to give you your cruise back as well as a future cruise. And there's a reason for that. When you cancel a cruise at the very last second on somebody, they're out a lot more than just the cruise fare. They may have non-refundable airline reservations. They may have non-refundable hotel reservations. It might be their only vacation they have this year, and now they're completely out of vacation time. So it's been a long standard tradition that if a cruise line, not just Carnival, cancels your cruise where it's completely canceled and you're 100% out, to refund you and give you another cruise. Now, in Blake's situation, he's going to be on one of those cruise ships where Carnival's bringing in some ships that were not in service, put those ships in service, and move him to another cruise. For that, they're giving Blake, depending on the ship and the circumstances and the cabin type he was in, they're giving him either a $200 or a $250 onboard credit for the inconvenience of being on a different cruise ship. So the question that she was answering is, first of all, she believed that since the cruises were canceled, we're getting 100% refund and a future cruise. She mentioned that she should get that as well. Well, first of all, you're right, John. Her cruise was not canceled.
No.
Our ports were missed. And as John said, there is a portion of the contract that says if your cruise is canceled or any portion of your cruise is canceled, you either get a 100% refund or a prorated refund. But that means your cruise is canceled. That means we would have returned to Miami early and missed several days of our cruise. That's your cruise being canceled. Like John said, the very next paragraph, which she failed to read, says that if your ports are canceled, you're really not entitled to anything except for your port charges back. So the $100 was really just a good faith that because you're spending money on board, we want to give you some of that money back. Blake's cruise is getting a little more. And quite frankly, I think that was just a business decision because by rules, Carnival has to offer those customers either a refund or the opportunity to sail on one of those other vessels. And I'm quite sure the bean counter at the Carnival said, you know what, if we offer a little better of an incentive, then possibly less people will cancel and not go, and we'll still be able to get those people on board our cruise ships. And I do understand how she doesn't feel it's fair that you get $250 when all you're getting is a change of ship when we missed a significant portion of our ports and we're only getting $100. I get that. But the reality is that Carnival doesn't have to offer either one to either of us. So, you know, when they make a business decision, it's really comparing apples to oranges, in my opinion.
Yep. No,
So how about you?
I agree.
Sorry, Blake, go ahead.
I agree. Personally, when I book a cruise, I do book for the ship itself. I booked the Horizon knowing of the features on board, knowing that it's a newer ship, which I personally enjoy the newer, bigger ships. And you know, being transferred, we were transferred to the Liberty, I believe.
Yeah.
And not only we got a $200 per stateroom onboard credit, but we also ended up.
Did you say $200 per stateroom?
Yeah.
Okay, so we
per
got the
stateroom.
same thing because we got $100 per person. So it's really the same credit. Okay.
Okay. There you go. Yeah. So $200 per stateroom. And we also, and I was just informed today by John that we actually got upgraded from an ocean view stateroom to 2 balcony staterooms, which was also really nice. Personally, I'm a little bummed being on the Liberty. I know it's still a wonderful ship, but it doesn't have all the features that Horizon does. But I also kind of understand from that standpoint that they didn't really have to do any of that, and they did. So yeah, I was a little bummed seeing that we were able to.
Let me play devil's advocate with you for a minute because I want to try and look at her side the best I can. Is that, you know, you said you booked for the ship.
Yeah.
The argument on the other side is those passengers may have booked for the shore excursion. I know Debbie booked specifically because she wanted to go to the Dominican Republic, which we missed.
Yeah.
So there are people who book because they want to visit these specific destinations. So, you know, the argument is, you know, which is more important to which particular passenger. But what I didn't know, and a good takeaway from this, is that even I was under the impression that you were getting a $200 per person onboard credit. And now that you've told me that's incorrect, it sounds like that argument she had for that is completely blown out of the water.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we literally got the same exact thing because we got $100 per person onboard credit.
She might have been referring to the ones that were actually completely canceled, though.
That
the
could
first
be,
two.
which to me is completely apples to oranges.
Yeah.
What do you think, Deb?
Well, I'm sure you've seen from your video, and I made the comments. First of all, as far as she's concerned, I still will call her a troublemaker.
I agree.
She thinks she's entitled to something which she's not. And for that comment, I got attacked severely by another person on that chat.
You should see the things I've gotten.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to the point where I wasn't playing with her anymore because I wasn't going to be nice. So I just ignored her. They call it cruising because you're cruising on a ship. You go there to go on the ship. She's still got her 8 days. Yes, it's disappointing if you're planning on a port and it's missed. However, Carnival didn't pre-plan this. It cost them thousands and thousands of dollars for this, and it's going to cost them how much more to send that ship over to Spain to get fixed, and it's out of commission.
And she honestly believes that Carnival knew that the ship was going to fail, that they knew this beforehand. I'm here to tell you that's not true. Carnival would not send a ship out that's going to cost them millions and millions of dollars should they get stuck at sea and headlines all over the world on a ship they know is broken.
It would be totally illegal for them to do that. They would have governments all over the place jumping down their necks to set a cruise ship with how many passengers on it, and you're accountable for all those passengers. You know,
our captain even addresses that in tomorrow's portion of the interview as well.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I mean, she ruined her own cruise by spending all that time, wasting all that time, going around complaining, collecting signatures and all that sort of stuff. She could have been kicking back and really having a nice time. But she not only chose to ruin her cruise, she ruined how many more people's cruises. Even if they weren't participating in it, by the, I'm going to use the word fear that she's put into the other people, the other passengers, that something was going to violently break out on the ship.
I totally agree with you, Deb.
I mean, I think that she and everybody, all the her co-conspirators, should be banned from Carnival.
She's lucky she didn't end up in the brig.
Pardon me, John?
She's lucky she didn't end up in the brigade.
Yeah.
I agree. Blake, you had something you were going to say?
Yeah, one thing else I wanted to add. So in her regards to making these kind of claims towards Carnival, one of the ships that is being replaced by for the Horizon is Sunshine. Sunshine literally got out of dry dock like a week ago, and she's having to make that voyage all the way to Miami. I've been in touch with a couple of crew members actually on the Sunshine, and let me say, Carnival did not want any of this to happen. Like, while the crew members that are on Sunshine, apparently there's about 500 on board right now, and another 500 are supposed to board before these next cruises, which is also costing Carnival more money. These members on the crew haven't done their part of cruising in, again, 16 months. The ship hasn't been in service for 16 months. So they're not only are they having to get more people on, they're having to train everybody, refresh everybody within the next 2 weeks. And I'll tell you, Carnival did not want that to happen.
The logistics problem itself is a nightmare. And if Carnival had known the ship was breaking down, those people would have already been in place. Yeah. Instead of saying, oh, let's just stumble and have 2 weeks to put it all in place. So, and plus Carnival has told me, again, you're going to see it in the interview, the final part of the interview with the captain, that of course this was not a known issue. They wouldn't have sailed if it's a known issue. It's just that simple. So I'm going to wrap things up with a couple of personal opinions on this. And again, guys, like I said in my other video, this is my personal opinion. And I'm going to say some things here that you may or may not agree with. And this is my opinion. It's not the opinion of my beautiful wife necessarily, even though it probably is. And it's not necessarily the opinions of my guests today. So if you don't like what I have to say, bring it on in the comments, because I love reading the nasty comments you guys send me sometimes, especially when I know that you're blatantly wrong. So here's the deal. First of all, yes, I understand the disappointment of not going to a port, especially one that you really looked forward to. Especially if you're one of those people who doesn't like being on the ship and you like being on port, I can understand you'd be extremely disappointed. The reality of the situation is you signed a cruise contract in advance where you knew that it's possible we could break down, something could happen. I mean, it is a moving vessel. It is a piece of machine. Machines can and do break down over time. Carnival's not liable to give you anything. They were nice to give you $100. I equate this to a situation of, if my next door neighbor calls me tonight and says, hey, I don't have a ride to work tomorrow, will you give me a ride? And I say, sure. And then the next morning, my car doesn't start and they can't go to work and they get reprimanded or even fired from their job. Am I liable now because I told you I would bring you to work? Of course not. That was your thing. I was trying to do you a favor. To me, it's the kind of same situation. You know, you knew that these things can happen. If you're going on cruise, I would think you'd know something about them to see that there has been news events over the last 10 years where Carnival has broken down and other ships have broken down, and they've been out at sea extra days. Heck, we've had a cruise where we've been out at sea 4 extra days in a hurricane. Things can happen. You're on a boat. Do they happen often? No, but it can happen. Prepare yourself for that. Cruising is very safe. When I say things can happen, I'm not talking about boats sinking. That's very rare or anything like that. But things can happen where you're going to miss ports. It could be weather. It could be mechanical issues. It could happen. You could return early. It could happen. So just be prepared for that whenever you book a vacation. But really, it's the same as a land-based vacation. You could book a hotel who might have plumbing problems that day, and they have to tell you, I'm sorry, but we're not going to be open for your stay. Things can and do happen. Now let's talk about the protest. I can tell you that I'm appalled when I found out people were going to protest on my favorite cruise line. Not only do I think it's selfish and greedy for you to do that, as a couple of my guests said today, you're affecting other people's vacation who have seen the news on these protests and have seen things go violent. And whether or not you planned on that going violent or not makes no difference. It could have happened. And all you really did was 2 things. You've scared people on board and affected their vacations. Should you be giving them money, by the way, since you hurt their vacation? That's probably something else we should think about. And all you really did is hurt your own cause. Because I guarantee you, Carnival's not going to look at you and say, hey, let's just give this girl a bunch of money while she's hurting our cruise ships. Let's welcome her back in open arms, where if something else goes wrong, you're going to hurt one of our cruise ships. So may I simply say to you, young lady, shame on you. I said it. Now, one more thing. And again, I'm not saying this as whether my guests agree with me or not. I've gotten a few emails, a very small few emails. Most people agree with what I'm saying, but I've gotten a few that have said, you know what, that I'm a racist. I've gotten a few emails that told me that if this person was white, I would agree with the protest. And let me simply say to you folks, to those of you who sent me those comments, look in the mirror. There was nothing about my reporting that mentioned race. There was no racism involved in this. And if all you saw was race when you heard this story, you need to look in the mirror, my friend, because you're the racist. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you being on my show today. I hope you all have enjoyed it. But I wanted to get that out there because I was just appalled by people who called me a racist for something that had nothing to do with race, with the exception the person happened to be black who was doing the protesting. But that's the furthest thing I was thinking of when I posted my story. So thank you very much for joining us, everybody. I'm Sal. This is my wife, Debbie. Oh, one more quick thing. For our group cruise coming in March, we have a wheel. There are 2 spots left. If you'd like a spot, you probably already know what it is.
And this is not the spin of the win right now. Just
this is not the spin of the win. We will be spinning it officially later this week. We'll let you know through our text messaging when that video will be. So make sure you send us a text to 305-574-9213. It will most likely be on Wednesday evening, and that is for the free cruise if you purchase a spot on the wheel. Okay. Anything else that I'm missing?
Not that I know of.
All right, cool. I'm Sal. This is my wife, Debbie. I want to thank all of our guests for being part of our show today.
All right.
Thank you guys very much. We enjoyed you. You put yourself back on the screen again.
I got booted out and I had to lock back in.
Okay. All right, guys. Thanks again, and we'll see you guys next time, hopefully up on the Lido deck.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.